Hello, welcome back into today's video. We're doing the 6th Winter 2014-2015 Roundup video. Today we're going to get things like the QBO, ENSO, solar activity and various other things as well. Get it all together as we have been doing in the videos virtually every week since the start of September to see how things have progressed since the 5th update, which we did last Sunday. Now, very exciting day because I've penciled in the date for the final and official GavsWeatherVids.com Winter 2014-2015 forecast. It will be released here at GavsWeatherVids.com on Monday, the 1st of December. Monday the 1st of December will be the date for the final and official GavsWeatherVids.com Winter 2014-2015 forecast. It'll probably be in the evening, probably 7 o'clock in the evening on Monday the 1st of December. The day before, November the 30th, the day before the winter forecast is released, we'll be doing the final seasonal model roundup here. So it's going to be a big couple of days, some really big updates coming up right at the very end of the month. 30th of November will be the final seasonal model roundup video, and then Monday the 1st of December will be the date when we release the winter forecast. Between now and then we'll continue to do more updates. So before I get on with the update today, the 6th update, just want to talk about the ads. There's links to articles sitting underneath the web video here on my homepage at GavsWeatherVids.com. You have a browse through the widget. You'll be able to see if there's any articles that you're interested in. If there is, just click through. That's what you have to do. Click through and you'll be able to go up and read those articles. Same time you help to support GavsWeatherVids.com. There's green keyword ads on some of the pages. GavsWeatherVids.com, you can already cursor over green keywords. They'll display ads. We click through the word. Go to our website. We have to support GavsWeatherVids.com by doing that. There's an ad unit down near the discuss comment box here on the homepage and on some of the other pages, as well as have a browse through that ad widget, anything that you're interested in, click through those ads. And finally, Gav Shop is open, so if you've got any Christmas shopping to do at Amazon, all you have to do is click through the Amazon banners. That's the key. In Gav Shop, click through and you'll be able to go off to Amazon. And when you get there, you have to do Christmas shopping as normal. You don't have to do anything else. But because you've gone through from GavsWeatherVids to Amazon, you'll be helping to support GavsWeatherVids.com. All these things are really paying for the website, allow me to sit here and talk to you via the website. So thanks for getting involved and thanks for doing that. Most of the websites that you see on this video, you can find my links to them on the links page, so you'll be able to see anything that you see in this video for yourself. And really just say enjoy the video. It's going to be quite a long one, so if you can't watch it all in one sitting, don't worry, you will be able to come back whenever you want and see the video here at GavsWeatherVids.com. So let's get on with it, and we're going to start off with the OPI. Now, I said last week, when I did the video last week, I said that I hoped we would have the final number for the OPI, the October Pan Index, the final number and forecast from the Italian forecasters. Unfortunately, we still haven't got it. I believe it's going to be released, the final OPI number, and also the forecast based on that number. I believe it's all going to be happening tomorrow, Monday. So I'll probably do a bit of a blog update on it at some point tomorrow. Do keep checking back. I'm sure there'll be plenty about it on the social networks and also on the forums as well. So I'm sure you won't miss anything. It looks like it's all going to be happening with the OPI tomorrow. Right, let's have a look at how things are developing in terms of Siberian, Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. This is the latest chart when I'm doing a video on Friday the 7th of November from the NIC, the National Ice Centre. And we can see that we've gained more snow cover, actually, particularly over Scandinavia. Much of Scandinavia is covered. We're doing very well up there. If we go through to last week, that's a situation when I did the video on the 1st of November last week, and the snow pushed right back in towards central parts of Russia, actually, at that point. You may remember the big story with snow cover is that we've massively increased the snow cover across Russia through the course of October. We did that around the 24th, 25th of October. We had just about the greatest snow cover in recorded history with these charts. They go back, I believe they go back to 1997. And certainly back to 1997, at the end of October, we hadn't got as much cover in any other year. But we got to start of November, and that snow cover receded back, and there we are on the 1st of November, not doing too well. But if we go back to the current situation, we have gained more across Russia, but most crucially also we've gained a lot excuse me, across Scandinavia. So what we're doing quite well. Actually in November it's less important really what the snow cover is doing than it is in October. October is the key month for this. It ties in with the October pattern index, and basically when you get lots of snow cover building up across Russia and Scandinavia through October, eventually it will feed back, or it can feed back into a stronger Siberian high. And that, when you get to winter, can feed back to a greater chance of a colder than average winter. So November's less important than October actually. The damage is done, if you like, by what happens in October. Nevertheless, this is very good to see that we're building the snow cover up so quickly again across Scandinavia. And we are seeing in the shorter range generic charts, certainly when I'm doing a video on Friday anyway, I'm not sure what they'll be showing today on Sunday when you watch it, but when I'm doing a video on Friday, the shorter range models are certainly sort of picking up on the idea of trying to build heights over Scandinavia. That could already be what happened in October in terms of the snow cover beginning to feed through. I won't say any more on that, but it speaks for itself, and we'll see what the guys from Italy come up with tomorrow in terms of the OPI. Now let's have a look at the solar disk on our side of the disk today, and this is from solarham.net. Officially, solar activity today is moderate to high, or moderate to strong. We've got quite a lot of activity, although we haven't got a great deal of sunspots across the solar disk. What we have got are very active areas of solar activity, particularly this one just here. And as I've explained in the other videos, we're getting these spikes upwards in activity at the moment. We're coming off solar maximum. We reached solar maximum around January and February. We're coming off that. We're gradually sliding down now, and we'll continue to do so into the solar minimum of around 2019. But it isn't going to be a linear process, so we will continue to get spikes upwards, and that's what we've got at one of those spikes upwards. We are not in a great period in terms of solar activity to get a cold winter. What we really need for solar activity is to have weak solar activity be in the minimum, if you like, of the solar activity, or just coming out of the minimum 2 or 3 years after solar minimum. Also okay. This particular period coming off the solar maximum isn't the greatest period to get colder than average winters, because when you have increased solar activity, it appears to niggle the jet stream, and this is not, it's not so important for America or for Asia, but for Europe it appears that when we're niggling the jet stream, we're reducing the risk of blocking. Now, there have been cold winters that have occurred in this part of the solar cycle, so we can't entirely rule out getting a cold winter. Other influences come into play, of course, and of course the other caveat is that this is a much weaker solar maximum. So although we are just coming off the solar maximum was much weaker than any other solar maximum through the 20th century. So that is the other caveat to apply with solar activity at the moment. But nevertheless, my judgment is that we are not in a great period to get a cold winter at this stage. Now, more encouragingly is the fact that the El Niño is coming on. So we're going to look at sea surface temperature anomalies across the globe next, but specifically interested in the area from Peru over here to Indonesia over here, which is along the equatorial Pacific. And when you get warm water rising up along the equatorial Pacific, this is telling us that the El Niño is coming on. Now, I've been saying for week after week after week that the El Niño is coming on. I think it is coming on. If we go back, have a look at the situation on the last update, the 5th update, which I did last weekend, that was the situation then across the equatorial Pacific. Yeah, we have got some warming occurring. If we go forwards, have a look at the situation now, I think you can see, particularly in this central part of the equatorial Pacific, warming has occurred. Also, encouragingly, is this cold water that we got around northern Australia, around Darwin. That's helping to promote high pressure around there, with warm water over towards Tahiti. That's helping to promote low pressure over there. So the atmosphere is now coupling up. Finally, the atmosphere is coupling up with the ocean to produce this El Niño effect that's coming a lot across the equatorial Pacific. What we're looking for, you remember, for a cold winter, we're looking for a Madiki, a central based El Niño through this central part of the equatorial Pacific. We're looking for weak Modoki, and it looks like that's where we're going with this. But whether it ever gets quite designated, of course, is another thing, because we have to have the temperature anomalies above 0.5 degrees above average, or at or above 0.5 degrees above average through the central part of the equatorial Pacific. Over 5 tri-monthly periods, and that can be a big ask. 5 tri-monthly periods, particularly when we're this late on in the year, can be a big ask. So whether this ever gets actually designated, I can't say for certain. But just because it isn't designated doesn't mean that it isn't happening, and it doesn't mean it isn't having an effect. If we have a look at the SOI, the Southern Oscillation Index, which is a reflection of pressure between Darwin and Tahiti, we can see that we are going very negative again with that, with crashing. So earlier, during the last stage of October, we had a big plunge in the SOI. There we go, the 22nd of October we went down to -25, the 24th of October we went down to -24, and so on. Then we recovered a little bit around late October into start of November, but we've been crashing again. So the 5th of November we went down to -15, the 6th of November we went as negative as we've gone, -27.17, and the 7th, when I'm doing a video today, 7th of November, -19.22. And that, as I say, is a reflection of the pressure between Darwin, which is over here, of course, and Tahiti, which is over here. And the reason those pressures are doing what they're doing, with high pressure there and low pressure there, is that we've got the cold water here across Northern Australia, the warmer water here across around Tahiti and those islands there. And with that setup, we're allowing this warm water to develop across the equatorial part of the Pacific. That is the El Niño. And finally, with the oceans and the atmosphere coupling up, I think we are on our way to weak El Niño. I don't think we'll get to moderate. Certainly I don't think we'll get to strong. It's too late in the year for that, but we could just about get a weak El Niño going. Now, in terms of what's happening up here in the northern part of the Pacific Ocean, it looks like we continue to cool down up there. If we go back and have a look at what it was showing when I did the video last weekend, that was sea surf temperature anomalies up there around Alaska and the Pacific coast of America and Canada. And it's this cold water here, but it's gradually pushing in to that corner of the Pacific Ocean that we're interested in. If we go forward, well, the cold water doesn't appear to have made great progress, but it does look as though we're gradually levelling off the temperatures in this corner. So we're losing the oranges, going more towards yellow. If cooling continues to occur, those yellow colours could eventually start to move towards blue colours. But it's going to be a slow process, and I think that certainly the first half of winter, right now, we're reflecting very much what happened last winter across the United States and Canada. If we continue to see cooling around here, once we get to the middle and latter stages of winter, we may start to move towards a slightly different pattern. But at the moment, it looks like we're still generating ridges up around Alaska, coming down into the Pacific side of Canada and the States. Consequently, we're still developing big cold troughs, excuse me, across central and northern parts of, and eastern parts of the United States. So, yeah, we get to late winter, we may start to deviate from this pattern, but I think right now there's enough warm water up there to still keep that pattern going. In terms of what's happening in the Atlantic, we still don't have a tripod. We've got this cold water in the central part. It is warming through the tropical Atlantic, but probably not warming quite enough, and it's not warm enough to the south of Greenland. So overall, the Atlantic still is not really reflecting a negative NAO. Now let's have a look at the QBO next, the quasi-biennial oscillation, and we're also going to have a look at some analogues from my good friend Stuart Markham. I'll explain about that in a moment. But the idea of the QBO is that we're in the easterly phase currently of the QBO, and that's indicated by these white sections just here. The westerly QBO is indicated by the grey sections just there. Now, when you're in an easterly QBO, what's essentially happening is that the zona westerlies across the northern hemisphere, particularly around the pole, are easing down. So they're sort of reversing, and that can help to allow blocking to form within the zona westerly flow. Correspondingly, when you're in these grey areas in the westerly QBO, the zona westerlies are much, much stronger, and that sort of enhances westerlies, if you like, around the northern hemisphere, and it can course milder than average winters, of course, because you've got a strong westerly zonal flow, particularly for us coming in off the Atlantic. It's going to be quite a mild winter. Last winter was a westerly QBO, and boy did we have strong westerlies. So the easterly QBO should favour a colder than average winter, and there are many colder than average winters that occur with the easterly QBO. For instance, 2012-2013 was an easterly QBO. 2009-2010 easterly QBO, cold winter. Let's have a look at a few more. 1995-1996 easterly QBO, cold winter, and 1996-1997 easterly QBO, cold winter. So the easterly QBO does favour a colder than average winter, but there are different phases within the easterly QBO. For instance, 2012-13, we were sort of starting to leave the easterly QBO and move towards the westerly, and through 2009-2010, we was firmly in the middle of that easterly QBO. 2010-2011 is interesting because we are leaving the easterly QBO, but we're still just about in it enough to help, at least, cause that very cold start to winter it had in 2010-2011. But as we transition into westerly QBO, of course we know that winter did turn milder. If we have a look at the mid-90s, 1995-1996, we was going into the easterly QBO. 1996-1997, we was coming out of the easterly QBO. So there is that idea going on that although you're in the easterly QBO, you'll be in a different phase of the easterly QBO, and the same is true of the westerly QBO as well. But the point I've made about this in many videos is that just because you're in an easterly QBO does not guarantee your chances of a colder than average winter. So let's have a look at some of those easterly QBO winters that were milder. And for instance, we've got 98-99 here, leaving the easterly QBO, going to westerly QBO. That was a mild winter. We've got 97-98, which was transitioning into the easterly QBO, and that was a mild winter. 1989-1990, firmly in the easterly QBO throughout the whole of that winter, and it was a milder than average winter as well. Let's have a look at a couple from the mid-70s. We've got 72-73, easterly QBO, mild winter. 73-74 and 74-75 were both easterly QBO winters and were mild winters as well. 73-74 was going into the easterly QBO, 74-75 was going out of the easterly QBO, but both winters were mild. They both had raging strong La Niñas, but they were mild winters nevertheless. So you get the idea that there are other things at play here, other things that are important. You can't just say, but because you're in an easterly QBO, that guarantees you a chance of a colder than average winter. And this is where analogues begin to come into play. So as I said, we're going to look at some analogues for this update. I've been sent some very interesting analogues from my good friend Stuart Markham from Twitter. If you want to follow Stuart, he is it's twitter.com/weatherstew, weatherstew, STU. So if you want to follow Stuart, he may supply you, as he has done with me very kindly, with some very interesting charts. Do please follow Stuart Markham and see what tweets he is sending through. He also has another page, I think, which is twitter.com/chorleyweather. So that's another one you could check out. Anyway, Stuart has been looking at the QBO, and here is the basis of his analysis. He's been looking at the QBO, and so we're going into the easterly QBO. He's also been looking at some other things as well, though. So he's been looking at solar activity, where we currently are with the solar cycle, which, of course, as we know, we're going out of solar maximum, very gradually sliding down its solar minimum, but we're still getting spikes in activity. So in terms of where we are with QBO and with solar activity, it looks like we're coming out quite closely to winter of 1960-1961. And then going forward again to ENSO, El Niño activity. Again, very interestingly, Stuart's been looking at the current ENSO cycle, comparing it to 1960, and it does appear to be quite a close match. There's 1960 just there with those numbers, monthly ENSO numbers just there. This is the ENSO, these are the ENSO numbers, I should say, for 2014. Looks to be a very close match. So it appears from Stuart's analogues as though this winter should be, or could be, quite close to winter of 1960-1961. So let's have a look and see what that particular winter produced. And this is the 500 millibar Northern Hemisphere flowchart for December 1960. And very evidently, British Isles is just there. We've got a very, very deep trough of below heights, low pressure right over top of the country. It extends from Greenland through pretty much the whole of Western Europe, actually, from Greenland down from Iceland into British Isles and down in towards many western parts of Europe. We've got a ridge in the Atlantic. We've got ridging up to the northeast, but on the face of it, does look fairly close to the pattern that we're seeing right now in November 2014. So that looks a fairly close match. It isn't a cold scenario, that, because the blocking is too far away and we're just generally under this ridge. It was a very wet month, December. I should say generally under this trough. It was a very wet month, December 1960. If we have a look at how things evolved into January 1961, again, very unsettled, another really wet month, January 61. The blocking does try to get in. It tries to extend over towards Greenland, but really it's this trough that's dominating. Some cold air could filter in at times. I think it did through January 1961. I think it was quite a potent cold snap at one point, but overall not desperately cold, really. This trough of low pressure keeps it very unsettled. But perhaps this is our greatest chance anyway, if these analogues come true, and this is sort of what we get for the winter of 2014-2015. It could be January has the greatest chance of producing some colder weather. We get through to February and it turns very mild. This is the 500 millibar flow chart for February. The trough is lifting out, so it's a much drier month. The trough is lifting off in towards Greenland and the central part of the Atlantic, and we're building the heights into the east and to the south, so the winds are generally quite mild from a southwesterly direction. It's turning much drier as well. An early spring with quite a lot of dry and fine weather through February 1961, and if that was to occur this winter or something like it, then February perhaps will be a milder, drier month compared to a very wet and not particularly cold December and a very wet and slightly colder January. So if these analogues are right, it could be January that we're looking at to produce the best chance anyway of colder than average conditions. But overall a mild winter based on Stewart's analogues for the QBO solar activity and also for ENSO. Another very close match, I've been talking a little bit with Stuart about this, another very close match is the winter of 76-77. It doesn't quite work out. It's okay really for the QBO, and it's okay also for solar it's okay also, I should say, for ENSO. The problem with 76-77 is solar activity, because this winter, 76-77, occurs excuse me, occurs right in the depths of the solar minimum that was going on through the middle and latter stages of the 1970s. So in terms of solar activity, it's not a good match, but in terms of ENSO and in terms of QBO, it's better. And this one was a lot colder. This is the analog, this is the chart, I should say, 500 millibar flow chart, analog chart for December 1976, and we see lots of blocking up here around Greenland. We have got a trough. It's similar to December 61, but to December 96, I should say. It's similar, but the difference is that the trough of low pressure is much, much further south, so it's centred right over top of British Isles and going down to the south of the country as well. Notice this very deep trough of low pressure in the east of the United States. That was an omnipresent feature throughout the winter of 76-77, and it's just about one of their most severest recorded winters on record in the north and the east of the United States. A phenomenally, brutally, exceptionally severely cold winter for the north and the east of the United States, with this constant trough of low pressure in the east. But for us, it was a cold month, December 1976, with the blocking up here and the trough over and to the south of the country. It was a cold month with northerly and easterly influences. Move through to January 1977. Look, we've still got that cold trough there in the east United States, producing more exceptionally cold weather. We've got still blocking there across Greenland and going to the north of the country as well. Still with trough, albeit a little bit weaker, across the country and generally to the south of the country as well. So still a basic same sort of setup really. It was still a cold month, January 1977. Perhaps not quite as much snow as in December 1976, but still generally a cold setup. We get through to February and things change again. Another exceptionally severely cold month for eastern parts of the state. Still with that trough of low pressure feeding down an exceptionally cold air from Canada. But for us, well, we've still got the blocking over Greenland. It's only a very subtle change. We've got the blocking still there over Greenland. We've got this trough out to the west of the country. But the difference is that we're also building up the heights to the south. So February 77 was a milder month compared to January and February. Now, the interesting factor with the winter of 76-77 was that not only was it a reasonably good match for where we are with ENSO, with El Niño, and where we are with ENSO, and where we are with the QBO. It was a reasonably good match with that. It was also a very, very rapid, had a very, very rapid build-up of snow cover across Russia and Siberia. So that's a bit of a match with what we've been seeing also this year. So in terms of the analogues, I think 60, 61 and possibly at the outside 76, 77 are the two sort of analogues that you will want to be thinking about for this winter. And I'll just throw this in as well, 2002, 2003 for a more modern, if you like, taking into account the warming that's occurred through the latter stages of the 20th century. If you want to throw in a more modern year, I think 2002, 2003 could be another one. Possibly 2009, 2010, but really that was right at the depths of that exceptionally severe solar minimum, so I won't want to throw that in, I don't think, particularly 2009, 2010, although it did have a very rapid build-up of snow cover across Russia and Scandinavia, again from October, so it swings and roundabouts, but I think 60, 61 and 76, 77 are probably the two analogues to go with. They produce differing results, probably, maybe because of the increase of snow cover across Russia and the solar activity as well. 60, 61, stronger solar activity, probably less build-up of snow cover across Russia, so it's a milder winter. 76, 77, exceptionally severe and cold winter for America. Was a cold winter for us as well in December, January, milder in February. It's in the depth of solar minimum, but we did build up snow cover very quickly across Russia. So that's sort of the analogue idea, what they're showing. And you're just going to have to see what you think to it all, really, aren't you? I hope you found the video interesting and informative. We will be doing the 7th update next week. You're going to get double your money's worth next week. I'll be doing the 7th winter roundup. Also be doing the CFS 6 months look ahead as well. So come back for that. I'm off to give a voice a rest because I've been going on for so long. Hope you found the video interesting. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching.